Hi, I'm A Gonzalez with Sustainable Culinary Solutions, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing, and first of all, actually, Happy New Year to all of you in the food service industry, or those that just want to learn about it or contemplating having a career in the food service industry. Today we want to talk about 2023. What's led up to what's going on now? What should we do about it? Do we want to buy a business if we're a small business? What are we going to do with corporate dining? What's happening in the future for corporate dining? And anybody that's in the food service industry right now, as we've seen a lot of changes going through the last few years, and a lot of them have been disastrous for small businesses. And what's to come? How should we prepare for it? Again, my name is A Gonzalez. I've been in the industry for over 35 years. I'm constantly on the internet, digging in the news. I actually go straight to the sources. Actually, I talk to farmers. I go to compost sites. I've been in catering, hotels, restaurants, and movie theaters sets in Hollywood and all over the United States. I've traveled. So I constantly get updated with lots of news, and it's not just from farmers and everything else. I study the market every single day. I'm up looking at trends, and I just don't look at everyday trends. I look at usually I look at a 3-year view and try to have an understanding. But again, bottom line, we follow the institutions, and everything we do in this world evolves around food. Our lifestyle, our health, and everyone has to eat. So the restaurant industry is what keeps us going in our business and keeps the jobs going, and where are we going right now? Okay, so I don't even know where to start. Okay, but I've been talking about this perfect storm that's about to happen for the last year, 2 years, ever since the pandemic hit, and we, small businesses had to shut down, and we had to reevaluate what we were doing. So this is going to go in so many different directions, and it's been hitting us harder and harder day by day. And the stats really aren't showing up for most that are in the industry, whether you're a general manager, an executive chef, just a cook, a prep cook, or you're going to culinary school and you're trying to get to know the business. This is where my channel comes up. I try to be optimistic, positive, and find solutions for those of you that are in trouble. Or ready to file bankruptcy. We already know that basically halfway through June, New York alone, downtown, shut down over 22 small restaurants. And that's just New York alone. That's not even talking about Los Angeles. And I go downtown Los Angeles, it's a ghost town. There's so much real estate out there for retail. So many restaurants have shut down all across Southern California, Northern California, Texas, Chicago, Florida, and New York. And I just said 22, that's just Manhattan alone. It's not even talking about Long Island. So let's talk about what took place. Okay, we knew that most restaurants do not have the threshold, to put money aside in a bank. They're barely making it day by day. And again, most of them are running it by a rearview mirror. Sometimes it's a lack of experience, a lack of knowledge, or the lack of funding, that they can't hire the additional help. They can't hire consultants. They can't hire an HR manager. And every day they're running and trying to make this work. And unfortunately, that doesn't help in our industry, especially right now with costs rising. So my advice to those that, I've been meeting with several small business owners recently, and they all want to buy a business. I know one gentleman wants to buy a coffee bar, another lady, small business owner, she wants to buy a tortilla factory, and I know some other people that want to buy and invest in 2 restaurants in Las Vegas and some other states in Arizona. But unfortunately, I'm going to tell you right now, don't. This is not the time to buy anything. Save your money, invest it if you can. I'm having cooks come up to me and say, I'm tired, and chefs and managers telling me, I'm tired of working at my job. I want to leave it. And I'm like, do not leave your job right now. This is not the time to leave a job. In fact, I advise them to get a part-time job. I don't care if it's a bartender or a waiter or waitress. Get the extra income. Do not leave your job. This is not the time. So let's evaluate what's going on right now. and why you shouldn't buy a restaurant. And if you do have a restaurant, you need to take some time back and hire somebody and evaluate your business, so you don't go under. The lockdowns, there's more to come. I don't know if it's going to happen this year or next year, but there's more to come. And if you're not saving money and putting it aside, if you're not accruing, if you don't have a bank account to accrue emergency funding, and that's what happened in the last couple of years. No one had that extra money, and even if the government does help you and fund you, it's only going to help you pay off those current bills. It's not going to help you get ahead, and you're still going to run into those problems, and it's going to keep coming over and over and over again right now. So we thought the worst, came and hit us the last 2 years, and we got out of the weeds. But again, unfortunately, several hundreds and hundreds of restaurants shut down. Many of them filed bankruptcy. Many of them still aren't out of it. Landlords are just sitting on open real estate right now. And you're reporting the news that food cost is up 25%, 8% this, but it's when I really evaluate everything went up over 100% total. When you look at chicken breast, you're paying $2.90 a pound, and now you're over $5-6 a pound wholesale, and we're looking at the cost of everything rising. So here's my advice, and here's what I'm seeing right now. And this is not just worldwide. I really want to talk about the United States, but we also want to take into effect that the United States affects, and what other countries does, because the supply chain affects the way we do business, how we do business, and it goes down to the farmers, to sales, to everything. And in fact, many of you just don't know that a lot of our sales are franchises. It's big in India and the Middle East, and we have salesmen that go out there every day, all year round, and they're selling franchises out there. So that's a part of our economy that helps us. We're building out there in these other countries, and we're selling them our products. So that does affect what's going to happen. So when we look at right now, gas prices, natural gas is on the rise. Crude oil going up and down, fluctuating. We don't even know where that's going. That affects the supply chain. Electricity, and you see the food costs, and you're saying, okay, why does it keep going up? Well, let's take a look. We do have this war going on, and it's not just Russia that has the grains, and gas and everything else that we have sanctions on, but Ukraine produces a lot that goes around the world, and China's hoarding their grains also. So we're missing out. A lot of this grain is to feed cattle and to feed our animals and to produce, and then Russia produces some of the top fertilizer that fertilizes these farms. So these farmers are growing at 50%, and even if they had the staff to pick, which they don't, they're growing 50% at a 50% right now. Okay. And that's hurting, and that's why you're seeing the prices go up, and I don't believe they're going to come down anytime soon. And if anything, you're not going to see pricing on food go down in the next couple of years, if anything. Okay. And the lack of fertilizer, their costs are going up. You're looking at anywhere from 20, 30, 40%. More government regulations are coming down on the farmers, so they can't seem to afford to run their farm. Their lack of staffing, there's a shortage of staff. So this is the problem, and this is why I recommend to reevaluate your small private business. If you have a bakery, if because you're wheat, grain, everything that you use in your bakery, eggs is on the rise. Labor costs, are up to 18 to 20, and if you're looking for a decent employee, you're going to pay maybe $25 an hour. And again, as I mentioned in the past, that with the fringe, you're going to add 30% onto that. Some places 40, 45%. Okay. And I don't believe that many of these companies have hit everything with reevaluating the tax rates and everything. And workman's comp is going to be coming through your business and reevaluating your employees this year. And those costs are going to increase also. So as a business owner, as a manager, you need to redo your budget. You need to reevaluate where you're at. So we've seen in the past couple of years the increase, a tremendous increase on delivery. And everyone says, well, if we do shut down, well, at least we have delivery. No, okay. The problem is it was great and it was working well. And here's the problem. Most of these small businesses and most businesses did not readjust their delivery menus. And they got hit after a few months and they realized they were losing more money. They were losing 10 or 15%. They thought they increased their business with delivery. Their delivery services every day was going up 10, 20, 30, 40%. And the problem was the delivery companies were charging anywhere from 25 to 30% for delivery. So if your entrees were $10, then you lost 30 or 40% on that. And then on top of that, you're paying your credit card fees at anywhere from 2 to 3% per transaction and an additional 20 to 30 cents per transaction. So there's 2 transaction fees there. Then increased paper costs for delivery. So you have to put in a bag, to-go container for sauces, and sometimes forks, knives, spoons, salt and pepper, depending on your operation. So that just doubled your paper costs. And with petroleum on the rise, what do you think makes paper? So again, all these costs are included. So delivery was a bust. Everyone was losing money. So now, here's the bigger problem. Everyone decided, well, I'm going to adjust my delivery menu and I'm going to increase the cost by 40%. So now someone's getting a couple entrees or some fast food and they're paying 5 times as much as if they went and picked it up themselves. So it's not just the delivery fee and the costs, tripling for delivery, but then you have to pay gratuity, and all that stuff adds up. I mean, how many times a week can you get delivery? You get a couple burgers and shakes and some fries and you're spending $60, $70, $80 depending on your household. They can't keep this up. And with the layoffs coming in 2023, we have a problem right now with many people just decided to quit their jobs and, do their own thing, private small businesses, and they're out there a dime a dozen now. They think they're on Instagram. They're going to make money on Instagram. They think they're going to have their own small business and sell things on the side. It seems that everyone's doing that. Everyone's a consultant. Everyone's in marketing. Everyone's in IT. The world is changing right now. And for 2023, if you're not adapting to it, if you're not making these changes, if you're not looking towards AI, the food industry has a lot of AI. They have miso robotics, for French fries and flips hamburgers and dispenses sodas. Everything's going that. iPad systems for ordering so that you don't have to have the additional help for cashiers. Technology with POS systems is growing. It's growing because it's integrated into your whole system. It's giving you spitting out recipes and time keeping and inventory control, ordering. So if you're not updating yourself with the latest, and don't tell me you can't afford it, because you cannot afford not to make these changes, but unfortunately too many of us are running our businesses from a rearview mirror and we're not moving forward. And unfortunately, with the labor costs and taxes and the increased costs, we can't afford to make any money. You're going to lose money every day, and you might as well just file bankruptcy right now. So with all this being said, AI is here to come. And I noticed that a lot of people said, well, I'm going to get my second job, I'm going to learn another trade, and I know some people that are learning how to do coding and programming. I'm like, with AI technology coming, those jobs are obsolete. Why are you learning it for? You can't even learn it fast enough. AI is just moving so far in advance. And 2023 is the time where everything's advancing. I know a lot of small sushi restaurants that have these automated robot waiters now. So everyone's moving towards technology because you cannot keep up with the labor costs. You cannot run your business with food costs on the rise. So if we're not moving towards sous vide or something out there with technology, you're not going to make it. And I don't care what Instagram shows or the Food Network shows. That's not the reality of the world. That's not how everything's running right now. And that's not what the food service industry is all about. Even corporate dining, they haven't moved towards it yet, but when you see Amazon Fresh, that's the future of corporate dining. No employees, 100% You scan your credit card, you go in, there's a commissary that brings all the food over, hot soups, pre-made salads, pre-made sandwiches, and everything. It's a marketplace. And the employees at all these IT companies just walk in, and it's open 24/7, and it's going to save millions. And this is the future. This is where we're migrating towards. But again, let's talk about the real issues if you don't believe me and truly understand. Okay, right now we're seeing eggs jumping up to $8 to $10 a dozen. I mean, it's outrageous. And again, as I said, I'm an optimist. I try not to talk about conspiracy theories or be negative. I always have a positive outlook on life and try to solve. There's always should be a solution. When you go to your boss, you don't go to him with a problem. You come with him with the solution, and I create solutions. But right now with eggs, okay, and supermarkets are making record profits right now, and it's not the bird flu that there's a shortage of eggs. This egg issue is, and especially for bakeries and those that use a lot of eggs in their businesses and breakfast operations, you have to understand this is going to be an ongoing problem for at least over a year. These egg farmers are not being paid for the changes in their costs. Their costs have increased by 30%. As I said, electricity, water, feed, to maintain these chickens. So they're not reinvesting because the supermarkets aren't paying them the additional 30% that they're asking for. They're saying no, and the supermarkets are raising their prices, and the farmers aren't getting the money. So basically, they're not raising the chickens or buying as many chickens anymore. And it takes at least 9 to 10 months to raise a chicken from a baby chick to where they're able to lay eggs. So this problem, the shortage of chickens, is going into millions and millions, and it has nothing to do with the bird flu. Again, this is the reality of our industry. So when you take a look at it, that's why I'm saying do not open up anything right now. Do not invest your money into the food service industry. If you're going to invest your money, invest into minerals, silver, gold, resources that like energy, those are things that you're going to make money on in the long run. I look at commodities, they go up and down. The market is going down, and it's still probably going to keep going down. It is a perfect time to buy and invest your money if you have a little bit of money to share, to reinvest in. And that's what I do every day when I see an opportunity. We just reinvest. The market's going to go back up, and we're going to see it go back up. But for right now, it's not. There's just too many obstacles right now, especially in the food service industry. We're short. We're completely shorted with labor across the U.S. But even though we're shorted with labor, these companies aren't hiring. They can't afford to hire more labor. They just don't have the money or the resources. So that's why they're struggling, and that's why the delay, and that's why the quality is going down, and the sanitation safety is going down in many operations. So when I really do take a look at what's happening out there and what's going to happen in 2023, you're going to see more restaurants filing bankruptcy and closing down. Okay, and that's just the fact of the recession hitting us real soon, and the economy. And this is throughout real estate, all of it, there's no way of getting out of it. And even these owners that own these retail stores, you're starting to see them close down. Shopping malls are shutting down. And basically, a lot of these shopping malls are just going to become obsolete because there's not going to be any value to them. No one's going to go out there and food courts and make these money. They're just dead. So what's to come of our industry? Well, again, if we're not preparing for slashing labor, production sheets, recipes set, and consolidating your menus, that's a big solution right now if you do have a restaurant. Many restaurants are doing it because you're consolidating your inventory. You're being able to manage your labor better, especially if people quit and there's turnover. Consolidate your menus. I ran a restaurant many years ago in the early 90s, and we had a very simple menu. And if we wanted to put specials out there to attract more business and to change it up a little bit, that's what we did. But we had a very simple menu, a one-pager, and you consolidate your resources. You consolidate all your inventory, you consolidate your costs. And you can also track theft that way. and you don't have to run around with um, employees not showing up or resigning and all the issues that come to your business every day. But consolidating your menu, having, you don't need to have 4 or 5 salads on the menu. A house salad and a special salad, a few appetizers, and then you have a steak entree, a seafood entree, maybe a shrimp entree, and then a vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free entree. But you can combine those, and people will still come if the food is good, of quality. But you're going to lose more people by having an extraordinary menu that's has 20, 40 different things, and you can't keep up with it. And you can't keep up with the quality and the prep list and so on, and then the inventory that goes along with it. And every day there's some kind of shortage. I rarely can find whole chickens in most supermarkets. And one of the supermarkets the other day, a couple of them had no eggs. So you're going to struggle. So you have to be able to, as we used to say in the industry, is improvise and make sure that the customers don't know it. And that's where the specials come in. So when you have your menu and we're short on certain things, that's when you have these specials, and you can say, okay, what's on special today? Okay, you talk to your meat vendor, your produce vendor, and say, okay, what do you have? What's in season? What do you have an abundance on? What can we sell out there today? And a lot of these specials have gone away. So again, we have too many chain restaurants and too many fast food restaurants. So, if you're a small business, that applies to you. Or corporate dining, that's great for you to have specials every single day and change your menu mix, because that's what really works. So again, 2023 is going to get hit like you've never seen it before. You have layoffs coming, huge layoffs with IT companies, corporate companies. We're already seeing it. Okay, occupancy, that empty seats in a local business would be about 2%, 2 to 3%. We're looking at 25, 27, 28%. And most people, people working from home. Well, sure, people working from home, but they're consolidating their resources soon, all these companies, and they're laying off. With these layoffs, you have to understand people are out of work. There's already people out of work. And slowly they're going to stop going to restaurants. They can't afford to go to restaurants. They can't afford delivery. Okay, so what happens to this? We are already at a 16, I would say about approximately 16.1 credit card debt, $16.1 trillion, I'm sorry, in credit card debt in the US. So if banks don't go under, they're going to merge. We have in the year 2022, probably approximately about 300,000 homes upside down. That's only for that year, for those new purchases. So, from the last few years, there's been a lot of deferment on credit cards, mortgages, rent. So the perfect storm, as I mentioned, is going to come down and hit us very, very hard. Okay. And the reason why I'm relating the credit card debts, the mortgages, the bankruptcies, is because people tend to vert and try to save money. Okay, they're going to cut their cable, they're going to cut their Netflix, they're going to try to cut certain items in their household. But the biggest thing is not going out to dinner, not going out and buying things. And when people are desperate and they have no money, what do? Whether they're looking for a job or they do have a job, the kids are at home, and what happens? Again, obesity, depression, all this stuff happens, and parents are buying what? Cereal, mac and cheese, cup of noodles, juices, and if you're on welfare, all this stuff comes with that. And this all goes to the gut. You have fructose in it. So obesity comes involved because of the depression. Parents don't want to cook. They can't afford to go out to dinner. They can't afford to do takeout anymore. They can't afford delivery. So they start buying all this stuff that's really easy. You can make in 2 minutes or pre-made. But it's all filler, it's all grain, it's all filled with sugar and fructose. And again, that's where it all intertwines into our industry. Okay, the suffering and the costs. Okay, well, I'm going to do without eggs. I'm going to do without freshness. I'm going to do without the produce. And if they do buy it, sits in the refrigerator and it goes rotten because they're too tired to cook, because they've been looking for a job all day, or they've been working all day and no one's using it. And that's where all this collapse. The restaurant industry isn't ready for this. They weren't even ready for what happened the last 2 years. No one actually accrues for a rainy day. And that's what happens, and no one's prepared for it. And everyone says, okay, we're prepared for another shutdown. If this happened, this is what we're going to do. This is beyond a shutdown. And this is going to lead, as I mentioned with the chickens, it's going to lead into next year. And due to the war, it's going to continue for us to catch up. It's going to be another year or 2 years before we even get there. So if you want to own a restaurant, you want to buy a franchise, this is not the time. The future is really, really glim. And if you need help with your restaurant, you can contact myself. I can help you out. There's ways of doing this. And again, don't be signing new contracts, no 60-month contracts. Look to vert. I mean, some of the small business, I advise them to get a little back room with a washer and dryer so you can do your own aprons and towels, so you don't have to sign a contract and pay all those extra fees. There's a lot of things you can do to consolidate, but with electricity and gas on the rise, gas has gone up, natural gas has gone up at least 3 times. You know, most people in New York, they have to have oil to heat up their houses. You know, that's gone up in the last few years, at least 4 or 5 times. You know, transportation costs, the supply chain again, we are hurting. There is no bouncing back from this anytime soon. You know, there's portion control. There's ways of, you know, limiting your water, but still the expenses are there. And again, the leases are there, and especially if you're involved in a triple net. You know, at the end of the year, your EBITDA is in a negative. And, you know, most of these small businesses, if they didn't file bankruptcy already, they're going to be filing bankruptcy, closing down, and many landlords are going to be left with empty spaces. So again, my advice, do not open anything up, step back, reevaluate your budget if you made it for 2023, find ways of cutting, find ways of consolidating. I know that most people are going to be operating without liability insurance. They're going to look for ways of cutting, and it may hurt them in the long run because they may be cutting the wrong things, and they may not have the experience or knowledge to consolidate the proper way, and they're going to lose customers. But bottom line, people are going to stop going out. The industry is going to fail. No more culinary schools. No one getting into the business. Anyone that's trying to get into the business, it's going to flop. There's no reason to get into the business. You got to find something else to do. And that's why anyone that is in the business, I told them, save for a rainy day, get another job, get another part-time job, because, you know, not only health and wellness is going to go down, but, you know, the industry is going to fall. It's going to fall hard. It's going to fall a lot harder than most of us expect. And again, it looks great on TV, on commercials, that everything's fine. But when you see it, what is it? It's all fast food. It's soda. It's potato chips. It's everything that's unhealthy for you that goes to your gut. And that leads to really unhealthy lifestyles, heart attacks, obesity, diabetes. So this is where we're at. Again, thank you for joining me. And I hope to please subscribe and like, and I hope to hear from you. And if you have questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
If you like, I can't search the web